All right, everybody. So I just completed that last video you just saw about the Yankees coming back, and I wanted to get our good friend here, who's Joe C. Oh, Joe, would you
That's
say
right.
would you say you're a writer? You're a writer. You're a sports writer.
I used to be a writer. Now I I'm a PA for NHL.com. So I work for MLB a Yankee.
Okay, okay, but you're very knowledgeable about sports and the Yankees, and
Yeah,
you're a very diehard Yankee fan. And
that's
Joe's also very knowledgeable about the NHL and who the Islanders.
the Rangers.
Oh, the Rangers. I'm sorry. Yeah,
I mean, I'm knowledgeable about all
no,
the
I know, but I meant to say you're a Ranger fan. I keep getting mixed up with the other guy, Andrew. So,
right.
basically, Joe, like I was just telling you, the episode I just made, I was pretty much disgusted. I'm a Met fan, but I don't care. I would give the Yankees credits, and they do deserve credits.
Right. That's fair.
Yeah, but like I was saying, like I was talking to you about the other day, was the Yankees had a great season. They were ahead of schedule, and it really was bothering me and pissing me off that all Yankee fans. It was that I felt that Yankee privilege, that Yankee fan privilege was starting to come up because now the Yankees are all of a sudden back in the playoffs, and damn it, this is the Yankees. We have to go and win the World Series. Like it's the Yankee fans. Like it's the Yankees' birthright, Yankee fans' birthright to win the World Series. And what I had mentioned was that okay, you had a great season. You won the game. You won the wild card game against Minnesota, which you should have. But now against the Indians, you ran up against reality, which the Indians were. I said they're an elite team. They should have won last year. They had a tremendous season this year. They won 22 in a row, among many things. I said they were going to probably win the World Series this year. And this is after what was it, Game 2, where the Yankees got shut out in Game 1, 4-0. Game 2 in Cleveland, they were up 7-3. They wound up blowing the game. There was the controversial event where Joe Girardi didn't contest the hits batsman. Right? Who got hit? You tell us. Tell the audience. Tell the audience what happened.
Well, he didn't contest the call.
Who got hit? Who got hit? Who got hit?
Who hit before Lindor?
I forgot.
I forgot. I think it was it Urshela? No.
I know Chad. It was Chad Green. It was Chad Green. Oh, Chinsall.
Chinsall. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. Hold on. First of all, we'll put more context on it. Sabathia was cruising along.
Correct.
Got it out in the sixth inning. 77 pitches. Girardi takes him out. And okay, so that pisses off the Yankee fans. Number one, why did that piss you off? Or why did it piss off every Yankee fan?
Well, it pissed off the Yankees fan in general because
wait, hold on. Everybody called Girardi a bonehead. He called him a bonehead, an idiot.
Yeah, I think Joe's biggest flaw as a manager, and this goes for a lot of other managers too in general, is he's got a quick hook, and I think the quick hook more so this year because the bullpen struggled at times. Chapman struggled at times. Dylan Betances has struggled at times. Every single guy in the bullpen at some point besides Chad Green had a little bit of a low. So in a year where your bullpen is when you give your starters quick hooks and you keep going to your bullpen, kind of magnified the problem a little bit.
Right. Well, like I said in the previous episode, part 1, I said this is CC Sabathia in 2017, not CC Sabathia 2008. This is CC Sabathia is well past his prime. He pitched a gutty game, and maybe is 77 pitches a lot? I don't know, but maybe Joe Girardi knows him a lot better than me or you or anyone else. Of course, had Sabathia given up a 3-run homer, of course, undoubtedly we would have heard Joe's an idiot. He should get Sabathia out there. But so you thought that was the wrong move, and
yes, I would have left CC in the game, and I think the reason
up until when would you have hooked him? He had gotten out in the sixth inning,
right?
And then he had what? He allowed a walk.
Yes, I would have let him at least attempt to get out of the inning. Now, if he gives up in that spot, like let's say he gets another batter, Let's say that batter gets hit and another run or two come in, then you pull him out.
Right.
See, I
So
think the difference between Game 5 and Game 2 is that Sabathia had been, I mean, he was cruising along tonight, but your margin of error in a 3-2 game as opposed to 8-3 is a little wider. So I think he gets a little more of a leash, maybe another bat or two in that situation. And if he gets out of the sixth inning and gives up another run, maybe two, 8-4, 8-5 isn't so bad as 3-2. You follow?
yeah.
So,
Well, now let me ask you: You think Girardi was thinking 2 steps ahead? Maybe he didn't want to wear out Sabathia and get his pitch count up over 100 because he was thinking ahead to tonight.
no. I think Joe kind of tends to trust his bullpen a little too often. And a lot of managers do that. You know, we saw Dusty Baker 2 nights ago pull Max Scherzer when he gave up one hit. You know what I mean? So it does happen.
Well, that's I think the zeitgeist of Major League Baseball today. It's the teams, Major League teams have become so dependent on the bullpen. There's about everybody carries about 11 pitchers these days. Everybody's a bullpen specialist. It's not, this isn't your dad or grandfather's Major League Baseball anymore, where the pitchers used to go 9 innings every time or 8 innings and used to rack up 300 innings a year. That's
Hell
gone.
no.
And
Hell
and
no.
and forget pitch counts now. Today, 100 pitch count is like red alert, red alert. But all right, I don't know. I think maybe I'm giving Girardi too much credit. I think maybe he took him out because he saw some bad signs, and maybe he didn't want to overwork Sabathia because he was thinking ahead to Game 5. I don't know. So then Chad Green comes out, who's a flamethrower. He comes out with 1 out, runner on first. He got a fly out, and then Gomez doubles off of him. And then go ahead, you take and then Lonnie Chinsaw pinch hit, and then you take us to what happened.
Essentially, what the call was it should have been strike three.
Right, the replay showed it hit the knob of his bat, and
foul tipped it. It was foul tipped.
which completes the strikeout. Okay.
Now, just a little bit of info. I have a good friend, my best friend growing up. Our common friend, he's closer to him than I am. But we have a common friend who works in the replay department for Major League Baseball. Now, that's pretty cool, I know.
Yeah, good. No, this is good. That's why do you think you're on?
We texted each other back and forth as the play was happening. He got an answer back in the eighth inning because obviously my friend was his friend was working. But the message that was relayed was that the guys in the replay booth looked over the call multiple times over the course of the next 2 innings. And by the time my friend got the text in the eighth inning, he said that had Girardi would have challenged the call would have been overturned and it would have been strike three.
Right. And as we know, after the game at the press conference, Girardi gave his rationale. He said his old catcher's instincts came in, and he thought that maybe if he would have challenged the call, which he thought was questionable, and he didn't have a good chance of winning the call getting overturned, that it would have ruined Green's rhythm and further implicating him and maybe creating a big inning.
Right. I think the bigger problem there was a lot of people don't necessarily say this is that in that situation you have to trust Gary Sanchez's judgment.
Right.
And he's telling you to challenge the call. If he's telling you to challenge the call and he's right there, you got to listen to your catcher. Coming from a former catcher, Girardi, that would have been the correct decision.
Right. And I went off on a little rant before about how it's a microcosm of today's society, how the youth and the youth of today, they don't have respect for the authority or elders. They think they know better. I said, Girardi, his resume is more than sufficient. He caught for almost over 15 years, managed, and it was reported that Gary Sanchez was giving him a dirty look when Girardi.
I don't think it's a lack of respect. I just think Sanchez felt so strongly about the call that he felt like, wow, my manager doesn't listen to me. It was probably in the heat of the moment. But I mean, looking at the last 3 games, looking at the games 3, 4, and 5, I mean, I think they picked them up pretty well. All things considering.
Let me ask you: Has Girardi challenged many calls this year?
He tends to be on the conservative side. I think he'll only throw. He can't even throw a challenge flag. That's silly. He'll only. Obviously, you get the calls in. You'll see either the bench coach on the phone, with the replay guys upstairs telling.
But I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure somebody from the Yankees.
Yeah, more often than not, he won't use his natural judgment. Like if there's a close play, he'll tend to be conservative and tend to go with the call that's on the field.
And we know in the past, Joe Girardi is not afraid to come out and argue with the umpire and kick dirt. So yeah, so he's not afraid. He's not afraid to argue calls with the umpires, but maybe he's a little hesitant with the replay again because his instincts come in. He doesn't want to slow the game down. So anyway, so the Yankees the Indians wind up winning in extra innings. I said you were hot after the game. You wanted Girardi's head on a stick. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll be honest. For the last year and a half or so, I don't think he's a bad manager, but I think when it comes to in-game situations, I don't think his feel for the game necessarily indicates is a proper indication of his track record. Because, to be fair, this team has been right around a 500 bunch in terms of talent. He's gotten a little more out of that. Usually they'll win 83 games, 84 games over the last couple of years. He's definitely overachieved.
Yeah, but let's not forget the Yankees. This isn't the Yankee dynasty of the '90s and the 2000s. They had to rebuild. These are the prospects came up, and I said I gave credit to the Yankees minor league system. Their prospects paid dividends immediately. We saw Gary Sanchez last year. He had a great second half. And look at Aaron Judge. He had probably one of the greatest an all-time rookie season. So I never had a scheduled. Cashman, give credit to Cashman.
Cashman deserves a lot of credit in the world. He sold players at the right time last year when he was going to get the maximum value in return for them. And I forgot who was the outfielder they got last year? Was it Clint Frazier? Was in the Andrew Miller deal from Cleveland. They received back Clint Frazier.
Yeah, he's a blue chip prospect, right?
Yes, he is. Very blue chip.
All right. So, and like I told Joe that I thought Girardi is a very above average manager. He's a very good manager. I said maybe his flaw is that Girardi manages maybe by the numbers too much. He's a stat guy. He's looking at stats.
There are a couple of ways to look about how to manage a game. I think sometimes more than not, a lot of people, especially today, you got all these sites like Fangraphs and 538, and you have everybody tracking stats. Sometimes in certain situations, I think going with the feel of a game tends to override what you kind of feel about stats. Like, there were times, even tonight, where I felt like Robertson went a little too long. I didn't feel great about Chapman being in there for 6 outs. But you see, in the long run, if you win these games, they don't mean anything.
In hindsight, if you win, nobody cares about the stats.
Right. Over the course of the season, and I brought this up because you brought it up in the Facebook post, and I'm only going to mention it for the sake of conversation. I'm a big Pythagorean win guy.
Yeah, me too.
And I totally understand your argument because there were definitely.
Explain to the audience what the Pythagorean win percentage is.
It's based your win-loss differential based on the amount of runs the team scores during the season and gives up.
Yeah, all right. So yeah,
there's a formula for this, and it goes by like the Pythagorean.
Basically, it's runs scored versus runs against, and it's runs, and they do it. It's runs at home, runs on the road, scored, and so forth. And that predicts that's the Pythagorean theory is a formula that predicts future performance. So, and the Yankees, and the Pythagorean formula predicted the Yankees to have a higher percentage, and Joe said that's an indication of Girardi's manager skills that the Yankees are underperforming.
Right. Essentially, what I think it was a combination of is yes, the bullpen was okay at times this season, but I think certain decisions that he made during the season, and I can point out like games. I can point out an Angels game that they played in Los Angeles in June, where I think a decision that Joe made with the bullpen directly led to the loss. But for the sake of shortening the conversation, the Yankees finished with 91 wins this year. Their Pythagorean win-loss expectation was that of a 100-win team. Which
Okay.
you look at the
Oh my
American
God.
League.
But listen, remember what I said. That formula predicts future wins, and not present, future. And as was and if the formula predicted predicted this series correctly,
Yes, it is.
yeah, that's why it's not present. It's formula. And again, that Pythagorean formula, sometimes it gets skewed a little bit because sometimes teams will beat up on weak and terrible teams, meaning they might beat up a team 13-1, 10-3,
You're correct, too.
15-4. You rack up a few of those. You rack up a few of those wins during the course of the year, and it will skew the Pythagorean formula.
I agree with that. And to bring to agree with your point, there were definitely a few games. I don't know how many off the top of my head, but there were definitely a few games where the Yankees won by 7, 8, 9 runs.
Yeah,
and you have 2 or 3, 4 of those over the course of a season. That does skew the stat a little bit.
Right. So, anyway, so get back to Girardi. I'm sorry. Get back to Girardi. It wasn't only you. It was everybody. Everybody was outraged. We saw on FAN Evan Roberts, Mike Francesa called in, and Mike Francesa called in on his shitty phone line, and he said he reported immediately that sources say that Girardi won't be coming back. The Yankees won't be renewing his contract. Everybody shoveled dirt on Girardi's grave after Game 2, and now Game 5, the Yankees come back. It was a big. I think it's an upset, not more what the Yankees did good, more what the Indians did bad. I think the Indians collapsed. The curse is real.
I don't believe in curses, but I'll bring a big point that I think a lot of people are going to overlook. I watched Game 3. Game 3 was one of those games where it happens. It's 1-0. Both pitchers are great. That's what happens. In Game 4, the Indians made 4 errors.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched their body language on the field, and I watched the way they were making throws. They weren't making fundamental baseball plays. They weren't hitting cutoff men. They looked disconnected. They looked out of the game.
It was almost like they just wanted to go back to Cleveland and play Game 5.
Absolutely. It's like they mentally checked out of the series, and honestly, you can never do that because if you do that, you open yourself up to.
Well, maybe not check out of this. Mentally check out of the series. If they checked out of Game 4,
checked out of the game 100%. This team had a 90-something. I forgot what the stat was tonight on the telecast. I think it was like 95%. It was something in the 90s. Their field percentage over the course of the season, which was excellent. They made 4 errors in Game 4, and on the play that Gardner drove in 2 runs in the 9th inning. They missed the fundamental play. Jay Bruce made that play in right field where he went elsewhere in the infield with the ball, and that allowed another run to score. You know what I mean? And even though it didn't make an impression in the final score because it ended up being 5-2, those are the kind of little plays that are going to go unnoticed. Like, people don't realize, they're not going to realize that the Indians in this series kind of were very lackadaisy at the end. And
do you think after they came back in Game 2, they took the Yankees lightly?
I don't want to say that in particular because I think Frank Hona runs a very strict clubhouse, and I think they have a lot of guys in that locker room who do believe in themselves. But I think the Encarnacion injury kind of brought the lineups a little more balanced because I think the Indians lineup was just as good with him healthy to match the Yankees lineup. Without him in the lineup, they struggled to score runs.
Right.
And even though he was hobbled tonight, like they only scored 2 runs tonight with him hobbled in the lineup.
Right. But I'm saying, do you think after the success they had this year and last year, all their dramatic, epic comebacks that the Indians have been known for these last 2 seasons, do you think maybe they went after they lost Game 3, they were like, We'll come back. Just if we win Game 4, we win Game 4. If not, fine. We got it in the bag in Game 5 in Cleveland in front of our home crowd.
Yeah, I think there was that certain expectation, like, yeah, we'll win this game, and you can never get like that. They probably thought to themselves, all right, we got Kluber going in Game 5. He's our guy.
Yeah, listen. In sports, all sports, you should never. No team, rarely is a team so dominant where they could say, "Oh, we'll clinch it. We'll forget this game. We'll go back home and clinch." Very rarely that
Right.
happens. In the playoffs, you win. You try to win every game, every game. So anyway, Game 5 tonight. Didi Gregorius, the hero, he had 2 home runs, right?
He did 2 home runs.
uh, he's played well, and now I guess they saved Girardi's job. So is Girardi a good manager now?
They rallied behind the guy who I think everybody realized was the he did not put his players in the best position to win Game 2. Now players, I like obviously like.
But hold on, but you don't think that the Yankees played bad in Game 2? Yeah, they had 3 errors. They gave up two.
They were sloppy in Game 2.
Yeah, two earned runs.
But if you're up 8-3 in a game where you chase a guy who's going to win the American League Cy Young, you got to win the game.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what it comes down to.
But listen, again, like I said, I said it in the last episode. The Indians now are officially a bust. They blew the series last year. They after a great year, they couldn't even get out of they lost to the division series. All right, so Girardi is a genius again. What do you see coming up against Houston? Do they have a chance against Houston, or are they going to hit reality against Houston?
I believe they have a chance against Houston. And the reason why I believe they have a chance against Houston is because they can hit for power. They can go into Houston and do something the Red Sox couldn't do, which is hit balls into the gap and hit balls over the fences. The Red Sox lineup had very little power, and despite the Red Sox having a solid season from their pitching staff, ultimately their pitching staff wasn't good enough to override Houston's staff, which is now actually pretty good with Justin Verlander.
Right. I think Houston has been the best team in the American League all year. Outside of that, that big run by Cleveland in August and September,
I think they've been the most consistent.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. So I don't know. What you have a prediction?
You're a Yankee fan for him.
Well, no. Well, I always tell everybody, if you're going to be a sports analyst, don't think as a fan. Think as a. Don't think with your heart.
You want my honest analysis?
The Astros in 6.
I think the Yankees are going to win in 7.
Okay. Listen,
The reason why I said this is because I think the Yankees, they have 2 things going for them. Number 1, doesn't matter if they lose Game 1, doesn't matter if they go down 2-1, doesn't matter if they go down 3-2. They came back in this series. That comeback goes a long way, and especially like a lot of people realize that this team had character and resolve even before they made this comeback.
Well, listen, this Yankee team has a lot of what you would call swag. They believe in themselves. They're confident.
Right.
And I also mentioned that this Yankees team is starting to remind me of that 2015 Mets team where they just everything was going right for them.
Yeah, that's a very good comparison.
You always have to watch out for the team, the dark horse team that gains steam, especially
You know who the Yankees truthfully remind me of? And I made this point at the beginning of this season, and it's kind of scary because at the very beginning of the season, I thought they were going to be the 2014, not 15 Royals. And the reason why I said that was because they were built the same way. They were built with a line of 1 to 9 that can hit. They didn't realize that they were going to hit for the power that they did for the season. Not even shot.
Yeah, that's the thing. This Yankees team, and right now, they're a home run hitting team. Home run hitting teams are excellent and fun to watch and can be dominant. But I always, you always have to be very wary, hesitant of home run hitting teams because sometimes slumps happen. And if you can't, if the ball's not going over the fence, sometimes the ball lands at the warning track, and
Right.
the the difference that Royals team, everybody was a contact hitter. That's
Right. That's a big thing. See, I thought that was what the Yankees were going to be, and then I saw Judge hit 50 home runs, Sanchez hits 30, Didi hits 25. All of a sudden, now they're a home run hitting team.
right.
When,
Yeah, you don't want to become reliant on the home run.
right. Yeah, absolutely. But to go a little, just to finish the point, the Yankee starters going into the season weren't projected to be great. And I think Severino gave them something that even I didn't, like nobody expected. He really truthfully became a number one, which was awesome. But they also had a good bullpen coming into the season that they made better as the season went along.
Do you think? Do you
So,
think? Do you think that pickup of Sonny Gray from Oakland was big?
I think it was very big because it gave them another innings eater. I don't know if he was necessarily the right guy.
Well, I think they got him. They got him for the playoffs.
Right.
In the playoffs, you need elite. In the playoffs, elite pitching is the end all be all. You need elite pitching, and you need elite starters. So I think I'm not saying he's an elite starter, but he's up there.
Absolutely. They were not going to win a playoff series with just Severino, Tanaka, and Sabat.
Yeah, because before you know it, you have two bad games, and then your bullpen is on empty. All right, so Joe, I guess that covers it. I just wanted to get your take on it because
Yeah, no problem. I just one last point, and then I'll make this.
Go ahead.
Uh, I'm really trying not to be a homer here. I'm trying to keep everything in perspective. What I will say is, I think.
Listen, I want to tell the audience, the Yankee fans were so distraught. They would. I told them they could have Terry Collins. They were like, "Yeah, we'll take Terry Collins tomorrow."
It's truthfully amazing because I still have my opinions of Joe Girardi, but I saw the way this team rallied behind him, and when he coming into game 3, you could tell that they were fighting for him. Like everybody knew he made a mistake, and he owned up to the mistake, and they lifted him. Like they took that situation and they turned it into this now.
And I'll close it out. Listen, I think Joe Girardi is very good. I'm not going to say excellent. He's a very, very good manager. His first year, I think when he managed the Marlins, I forgot when that was. He had a great year. He had a very good year with the Marlins. Then he lost his job because the Marlins organization is a mess. And he's done everything he's had to do so far. Guarding the end of the Yankee dynasty. He had to deal with all those Hall of Famers and would-be Hall of Famers. He had to play them and manage their egos. And then he transitioned all these prospects, and now here we are. It's already and they're in the ALCS, and they're 4 games away from the World Series.
I think he's a good personality, and I think the way you watch the Yankees on the top step of the dugout, the way they do the thumbs down, they've shown character, and I think Girardi has shown that he's a good character guy. Tactician-wise, I think if he scales it back a little bit like he did tonight, he took CC out at the right time, left Robertson in a good amount, and he went to Chapman a little early, but when he simplifies things, he makes it easier for himself. That's when he becomes a better manager. When he starts to overdo it based on the books and the stats and the binder, that's when I think he gets himself into trouble. So if he simplifies it, I think the Yankees have the character and the bats, more importantly, to get by Houston.
I agree. Right now, anything's possible. All right, Joe. Thanks for coming on. And if you want,
no problem. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll get you on again during the LCS against the Astros. All right. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You have a good night.
Yes. Bye-bye.